afternoon. I'm Shawn Yao and this is One News Now. Malacanang has announced new alert levels for some areas in the country. We have Maricel Halili reporting to us live from Mandaluyong for the details. Mase, hi, good afternoon. Were there any areas that were escalated or downgraded?
Hi, Sean. Actually, the list of provinces under alert levels 3 and 2 is pretty long, so I cannot enumerate all the provinces. But to give you an idea, Metro Manila will remain under alert level 3 up until the end of January. Of course, there are also big provinces which will be under alert level 3. This includes Baguio City, Ifugao Mountain Province. In Visayas, we have Iloilo City, Negros Occidental, Guimaras, and of course, Davao del Sur and Davao del Norte will also be under alert level 3. For the complete list of these provinces under alert levels 2 and 3, they can check our Facebook page, social media of One News, so they can see the complete list of these areas.
All right, thank you for that. So do check our Facebook page to see the new classifications of alert levels in different areas and charter cities in the country. But Mase, going back to this surge in cases, our fourth wave, does the Department of Health see cases peaking anytime soon? We've already seen straight days of new highs in cases in this week alone.
Well, if we base it on the characteristic of Omicron, it won't be surprising if there will be another increase when it comes to the COVID cases, particularly here in Metro Manila, because we're part of the high-risk areas, critical risk, actually. But Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere emphasized that despite the increase of COVID-19 cases, we can see that the trajectory on the health utilization rate or hospital utilization rate is not the same when we are experiencing the surge of COVID cases during the peak of Delta variant. So that's a difference. I think we're in a better situation now.
All right. And here in the NCR specifically, where the surge, of course, first happened and was first observed, are experts already seeing a downtrend in cases as early as now?
Some of them are saying that they're optimistic that we can experience a slowdown or a downward trend of cases by February. But of course, it will all depend on the mobility of the people. That's why the business sector, particularly presidential advisor in entrepreneurship, Secretary Joey Concepcion, said that the decision of the IATF to retain NCR under alert level 3 is a good thing, considering that some of or majority of the people do not want to go out of their houses because of the fear of COVID-19 transmission. In that case, there's no need to escalate the alert level in Metro Manila.
All right, so wait and see on that. What about the proposal, Mase, of the aviation sector to shorten the quarantine period for fully vaccinated personnel? We know that this is already in effect with healthcare workers. What about aviation workers?
Actually, the IATF yesterday during their meeting, Sean approved this proposal for aviation personnel based on the guidelines approved by the IATF for aviation sector, including the airline personnel, the airport security, air traffic controllers, among others. The isolation will be up to 5 days for mild and asymptomatic confirmed COVID-19 cases who are fully vaccinated, and of course for those who have already booster shots. And for those who are asymptomatic, close contacts, they are not actually required to undergo quarantine.
Oh, that's interesting. What about for foreign nationals, Mase, who want to enter the country? Will the Philippines start requiring proof of vaccinations or any other documents?
Yes, they will require proof of vaccinations for those foreign nationals who are allowed to enter the countries. But of course, there are exemptions. Some of the exemptions are number one, children below 18 years of age. They are not allowed to, or they are not required to show proof of vaccination. People who are medically unable to receive vaccine, but they should provide certification from their doctors to prove that they have comorbidities or they have allergies, and for foreign diplomats and their qualified dependents.
All right. And one last question, still on the matter of vaccinations. Lisette, everyone is looking to get their booster shots right now. Are there any updated guidelines on inoculations, especially for those with comorbidities? We know that for pediatric vaccines, 5 to 11, or age 5 to 11, we have the vaccines coming the end of the month. We know that the booster period, or the period between the second dose and the booster shot, has been shortened. Is there anything else that we have to know?
Well, Secretary Nograles earlier announced that walk-ins in the vaccination site is already allowed to encourage more people to get their primary shots and booster shots. And for those who have comorbidities, they are still required to show medical certification from their doctors. But if you do not belong to the category with, or if you do not have any ailments and the serious comorbidities, there's no need to show medical certification from the doctors. And they will also remove the requirement to undergo checkup of blood pressure during screenings unless you have history of hypertension.
All right. Thank you so much, Mase, for all those updates. Do stay safe out there. That was Marcel Halili reporting to us live from Mandaluyong City. Some Filipinos are in favor of the decision of the government to trim the quarantine period and to update testing guidelines based on one's vaccination and COVID infection status. Jenny Dongon with the report.
Celso travels all around Quezon City every day. It's his job to monitor the security guards under his wing. But since Celso is fully vaccinated, he is confident that he is still protected against COVID-19. He is among those who favor the recalibrated quarantine protocol, which shortens the isolation period for those with COVID-19.
Dapat mas maiksi pa kasi kaya nga bakunado, inubligan ng gobyerno yung pagpabakuna ng bawat isa dahil sabi nila yun ang paraan nila para ma-safety ang bawat isa.
Meanwhile, Adrian, who just got his first dose last month, felt obligated to get vaccinated amid the rising cases of COVID-19. He is also in favor of the new protocols.
Sa hirap ng buhay, kaya siguro kailangan kahit 5 days lang, okay na siguro. Kung nararamdaman ng tao na okay naman na siya.
According to the Health Department's latest protocols, mild and asymptomatic cases would only be required to isolate for 7 days, for as long as they are fully vaccinated. If unvaccinated or partially jobbed, quarantine period increases to 10 days. But for severe cases, patients still have to undergo the full 21-day isolation regardless of vaccine status. As for asymptomatic close contacts, those fully vaccinated will only have to isolate for 5 days. For the unvaccinated and partially vaccinated, a 14-day quarantine is still required. Meanwhile, health workers would only need to quarantine for 5 days if they are fully vaccinated. But for those who have already received booster shots, no quarantine period is required unless recommended by the hospital. With this, the DOH continues to defend the decision to shorten the quarantine period for health workers.
Kailangan na talaga i-update ang protocols ng COVID-19 based ito sa vaccinations natin at saka of course ating behavior ng Omicron kasi nakita nila yung Omicron ang incubation period nito lesser na 2 to 3 days.
As for testing, the health department is also prioritizing the vulnerable population. Asymptomatic close contacts outside of these groups will no longer be required to get tested. The government admits that the resources for testing are limited. Testing czar Vince Dizon earlier said that testing up to 85,000 persons every day would cost the government 200 million pesos. But others are more interested in the self-administered antigen test. However, the FDA has yet to approve any kind of DIY COVID testing. For now, only 2 manufacturers have applied to get a special permit in the country. This month, the DOH is expected to release additional guidelines for the use of self-administered test kits. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, We Are One News.
In other news, one bank executive is warning the public against this so-called mule account scheme. BPI's Chief Digital Officer Noel Santiago told Agenda that some cybercriminals are able to lure customers by buying or renting bank accounts. Santiago explained that the scheme appears to be organized activity used for questionable bank transfers.
They will advertise in social media. They say, I need an account. I need an account. I need it now. If you can give me within an hour, I'll pay you 5,000 pesos. It's an organized activity, no? So the mule is just a receptacle of a funds being taken from another institution.
And the no vaccination, no ride policy will be taking effect starting Monday. To tell us more about that policy, we have Gerard de la Peña joining us live from Makati. Gerard, hi. What should commuters keep in mind and bring along with them when it comes to this new policy being in effect on Monday?
Well, Sean, many things really, because despite opposition from various groups, the Department of Transportation will start implementing on Monday the no vaccination, no ride policy, which is actually meant to prohibit unvaccinated passengers from taking public transportation. This policy will take effect on Monday across all modes of transportation, including sea vessels, planes, jeepneys, buses, and trains. Philippine Airlines and AirAsia support the policy. Rail lines such as the LRT, MRT3 will also implement the new guidelines on Monday. However, the DOTR admits that it will be challenging to inspect vaccination cards in other modes of transportation, such as jeepneys. With this, jeepney operators and drivers must ensure that only fully vaccinated passengers will be allowed. Those who will not comply will face fines of 1,000 pesos and more. The DOTR has also sought the help of MMDA, Highway Patrol Group, LTO, and the LTFRB in enforcing the policy among jeepney passengers. They will also deploy mystery passengers to ensure that this is implemented even without the presence of uniformed personnel. Just to remind commuters, what you will need is either an LGU-issued vaccine card, a DOH-issued vaccine certificate, or any IATF-prescribed document proving that you are vaccinated. You also need to present an ID with a photo and your address. Exemptions to the policy are those with medical conditions preventing full vaccination and those out for essential errands. Sean, the DOTR's rail sector reported that its ridership dropped by around 100,000 passengers daily compared to the previous months, owing to the number of people who have fallen sick or are either in isolation or in quarantine. And this is very much reflected in its daily random antigen testing for passengers, wherein 12 out of 100 passengers are tested positive for COVID. And they believe that enforcing the no vaccination, no ride policy will help improve the situation. Sean.
Right, very interesting points made there. Thank you so much for that update, Gerard de la Peña, reporting to us live from Makati. Stay safe, Gerard. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.